feel like my glasses are crooked AF, y'all. They are. They're crooked. Are they not? They're crooked. My friend works at an eyeglass place, like an eye doctor's office, and she said that when you help people fit their glasses to their face, you do it like based on their eyebrows, and so I am screwed because I have different eyebrows every day. Okay, I think I'm getting under the weather and my eye is having an allergic reaction, so I probably shouldn't have put makeup on today, but I didn't want to scare you too much. So we're just gonna have a chill day. I'm gonna film some of my collection videos. So this one right here is going to be foundations and face powders. So that's all my pressed and loose powders. That's really all I have to say. Hopefully I will swatch, at least like give swatches of like the foundations, just so you can see like the difference in shades, just because I always think that's interesting. As far as the powders go, I don't think I'll swatch those because they're all like skin tone for me. So yeah, I think that's all I want to say right now, but I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I will catch you in the next one. But don't leave, this isn't the end. We're gonna go over to the vanity. Okay, so we are filming with natural light just because if I put the ring light on, like it makes like a funny shadow, and then the overhead light does the same thing. So I just have the sunlight coming in through the window, and it's kind of a cloudier day here, but I still think like it's enough lighting for you to get like a good view of everything. Hopefully that makes sense. So in front of you are all of my foundations that I own. There are 10. Now, one technically isn't a foundation. It's the Drunk Elephant De-Bronzy Serum. And so this is in my 50 pan project pan right now. It's just like this, I'll do swatches of everything after we talk about them, but it's like this brown golden serum, and I was using it like in my moisturizers, and then someone helpfully commented that they actually use it in their foundation, so I've been using it that way, and it's fine. It does give like a nice glow. You only need like half a pump, or at least I do. If I put in more than half a pump, then I look very orange. However, it's not like my favorite thing. I think this is definitely like overrated. I don't really see the benefit of it, and so I think I'm going to start mixing this into body lotions. But there's that. Yeah, and then I don't think I said it, there's 10 foundations in front of you, and my goal number for my foundations is to have 4. So this is my Smashbox Studio Skin 15 Hour Wear Hydrating Foundation, and it is in the shade, it's upside down, but it's in the shade 1.2. It's a hair dark, but in the summertime this does match me pretty well. I don't mind this foundation. It's not one that I would repurchase. I've already used up a full bottle of this. It's very liquidy. It's not thick, which isn't a bad thing. I think that there are benefits to like a thinner foundation. However, it doesn't offer as much coverage as I would want, and I feel like I have to layer it, and then it kind of looks cakey. So it's not one that I super enjoy, but I will hopefully get this used up by the end of the year. And then I have this one by Makeup Revolution. It's the Conceal and Define foundation, and I have mine in the shade F3. Hopefully you can see it right there. So yeah, I have used this a handful of times. I like this. This reminds me of the Tarte Shape Tape Matte Foundation, but I like this one better. Even though this is a matte foundation, I don't feel like it's nearly as drying as the Tarte one. It looks very similar, same kind of packaging, and this one does have the Dofa applicator, which I am not a huge fan of. To me, this just doesn't feel very sanitary, so most times what I'll do is just dip in and out and put this on the back of my hand and then apply it with a brush. But yeah, not a bad one, and not a bad price point for it either. I think it's like 10 or less. And then I do have 3 CYO foundations. This one is in the shade 101, I believe. It's very tiny, like right here on the label. You would miss it if you didn't know where to look for it. I love this foundation. This is probably my favorite drugstore foundation. I really think that if you have dry or oily or whatever type of skin, and you just want something that's not too heavy but still offers a really good amount of coverage, I would say it's like medium to full but buildable. This is my go-to. I get this at Walgreens. So I have the shade 101 for like the winter time. And then I have 2 bottles in the shade 103, which again, it's very tiny. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. But this is a little bit better of a shade match in this summertime. And honestly, I think, because my goal with foundation is to only have 4 in my collection, so I might like keep 1 bottle that's like a more summer shade and then just have the other ones be like more wintry shades. And then during the summer, if I want to wear one of the foundations that's like a more winter shade, I'll just bronze my face up and stuff like that, because I just this foundation like category for me is way out of control. I don't need 10 foundations, but I'm afraid that if I keep letting myself like, have winter shades and summer shades, then that's one way like it will get out of control really quickly. But overall, like, yes, oops, sorry, knocked the camera. CYO is probably my favorite drugstore foundation, and it's all of like $5 or $6 at Walgreens. I think like it's a UK brand, so if you're not in the United States, I think people get it at Boots, but I can't speak to that. So then we have the Jouer Essential High Coverage Foundation, and it's in the shade Porcelain. This is in the bottle here, it looks like this would be such a great shade match for me. It is actually very warm tone and very yellow, which is not at all how it looked like in the swatches online. So if I was to repurchase this, I would probably go down a shade, to be honest. And this is my first time trying a Jouer foundation, so I don't know if like all of their shades lead more warm, and so you should, step down a notch to get your perfect one. But I do really enjoy this foundation. 1 pump does your whole face, like whole face and neck. It's amazing. And it's very high coverage. I don't have to layer this at all. It is very thin too. So it's kind of, because when I think of high coverage foundations, I think of them as being like more thick. So the fact that this one is very thin and still provides high coverage and is not cakey at all, I absolutely love it. The only like negative thing I will say about it is that you do have to shake it like really well before you use it. And when I say shake it, I mean like shake it for 5 minutes. And then it does smell like paint thinner. But other than that, these 2 probably my favorites, the Jouer and the CYO. But then I really do love this Too Faced Peach Perfect foundation. I have mine in the shade Nude, which I think is a pretty good match. This isn't like too warm for me, because I feel like I went through a point in my life where everyone was like, oh, you have like golden undertones, so those were the foundations I would pick up. And now I think I'm leaning more towards that. My actual undertone is neutral, if not more cool. So I'm trying to like work through all of my foundations, obviously, but then once I'm at the point where I can start making like replacement purchases on foundations, I actually think I'm going to pick up like maybe this one and the Jouer one and see if like the more cool tone versions are better matches for me. But I do really like this. It's a medium coverage foundation. It does have a peach scent, but the scent is not like lingering or anything. And I will say this, if you are an oily girl like me, this is going to be your best friend in the summer. It's very humid, like where I live in the summer. Like we will have days where it's like 94 degrees, and then with the heat index, it's like 108. So ridiculously hot. All of these other foundations will fall off my face in the summertime. Now this one does fall off too, but it holds up the best under that weather. So this is really the one that I use a lot in the summertime. And then we have this Tarte Found Sealer Foundation, which is also currently in my Project 50 pan. I am almost done with it, and I could not be happier. It is in the shade 16 in Fair Light Neutral. I think this is a pretty good shade match. It looks a little bit more yellow in the bottle, but this like plastic airless pump is like kind of frosted, so I think that throws off the color of this just a bit. This is not my favorite foundation. I go back and forth. Like some days it looks really nice, and then other days it just looks like crap. And I don't do anything like drastically different with my makeup routine. You know, like I couldn't sit here and say like, oh, well, it was probably the primer, or oh, it was, you know, the facial moisturizer that I use. Like I have like my routine and my way to apply things, and like I apply my foundations mainly with a brush and then smooth them over with a sponge. So for it to do well on some days and not on other days with me not changing my routine, like I just don't have time to fool with a foundation that's like that, that's so finicky. So once this one is gone, which hopefully will be in the next month, you can see there's very little product in it. When it's gone, like I'll be so happy, and that will not make a reappearance in my life, and it'll probably roll away off the not off the table, but out of view. So then the last one I have is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea foundation. And it should be, yeah, it's 15 in Fair Light Neutral, but still, it's like the same shade as that one. And again, it looks a little more yellow and warm in this bottle than it does actually in person. I like this foundation, but I'm trying to be more cutthroat because obviously I'm only allowing myself like as a goal number 4 foundations. And so while I think this one is really nice, I don't think it is nice enough to make the cut of like being in that top 4 range, if that makes sense. It's a thin foundation like the Jouer, but this one is not high coverage at all. However, it is nice. I feel like it's very hydrating. I like it this time of year where it's a bit more dry outside. Like even though this Smashbox one says that it's hydrating, I don't get a hydrating benefit from this Smashbox one, but I do feel like I get some hydration from this one. So that is the last foundation. So now we will switch over into swatches. Alright, so hopefully this works as well as I am hoping to. I think I'm in frame pretty well, but this first right here is that Drunk Elephant De-Bronzy Serum, and I think you can tell on camera just like how dark and intense and orangey it can be. That's a full pump of it. And then next to it is the Tarte Found Sealer Foundation in the shade 16 in Fair Light Neutral. Next to that is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea in the shade 15 in Fair Light Neutral, and this one is actually a hair darker than this one, which I think is interesting. And I think too you can see the difference in how this one is like a thinner consistency than this Found Sealer one. So then next beside that, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the Too Faced Peach Perfect. This one is probably the most orangey foundation that I have out of all of the swatches. I think you can tell. Like ignore this, the De-Bronzy Serum, because it's not technically a foundation. So if we're just counting all of the foundations here, this Too Faced one is definitely pulling the most like warm toned. Next to that we have the Jouer foundation in Porcelain. This Too Faced one is in the shade Nude, sorry. So the Jouer in the shade Porcelain, and again it's like still pretty warm toned when you compare it to all the other ones. Here's the CYO shade in the shade 101, which is, yeah, probably it's more of like a neutral undertone, I think, in my opinion, and I feel like it looks the best on me, especially when you compare it to like all of the other shades. So then beside that is the shade 103. There's such a huge jump when you like have these together. It's crazy because I don't feel like when I apply them there's that big of a shade difference. Now there is a shade in between them, 102, but I don't know why I went with 103 as opposed to 102 to be honest, but there's that. And then we have the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define in the shade F3. And I think this is a pretty good shade match too as well, being like that it's more of like a neutral undertone. Because I find like even if, at least for me in my experience, if the color is a little bit too light or dark, as long as the undertone is a really good match, I can pull off the foundation really well. So I would say out of everything that I have, this Makeup Revolution and this CYO are probably my best bets right now. And then lastly here on the end is the Smashbox Studio Skin 15-Hour Wear Hydrating Foundation in the shade 1.2. So there's the shot of all of them. Again, I just wanted to quickly add in another reason I don't like this Tarte Rainforest of the Sea foundation is because it's a dropper like applicator, and so I don't know, I just think those are so messy and so like just kind of ridiculous. Like I just drop it onto the back of my hand and use it, but it's just kind of like inconvenient. So then that would be like another con, at least for me personally, as to why I would not repurchase this. And then, okay, so the next we will do BB creams. I only have 2, and that's great. I think this is my most like under control category, but if I remember correctly, I said that I only want 1 BB cream in my collection. I only typically use BB creams in the summertime because, like I said, it is so hot and humid up here that foundation just slides off. And it's not that a BB cream lasts any better on my face, but I don't feel like I'm as wasteful. Like when you've got like a $30-something foundation just melting off your face within 5 minutes of walking outside versus like, you know, an $8 BB cream doing that. I just feel like cost-wise, I don't know, maybe that's just like me being weird. But the first one I have is the CoverGirl Clean Matte BB cream, and it's in the shade 510 Fair, and it, again, looks really dark. I don't think there's like a good shade range for this BB cream, but I could be very wrong. I really don't remember. But this one out of the 2 is my more favorite. This one is the First Aid Beauty Tinted Moisturizer, and it's in the shade Fair. This one is very yellow, very greasy, and very creasy. I do not recommend this, and it has a faint smell of like lemon pine sol as well. So it's got that like chemically smell, and it's just, I don't know, I just don't like it. I cannot wait to use this up and have this out of my collection, but I will swatch these 2 for you guys. Alright, so here's the 2 BB creams. Here is the CoverGirl one and the First Aid Beauty one. And it's funny because on camera, at least to me, the First Aid Beauty one looks lighter, but definitely more yellow. And I think you can tell just that it is thicker than this CoverGirl one. So I don't really have much to say about them other than while I like the CoverGirl one more than the First Aid Beauty one, I don't know if either of them are like my go-to BB cream that I want in my life, and I don't have anything like on my radar to pick up. My ultimate favorite BB cream was from a Korean brand named Misha, and I absolutely loved that BB cream. However, it's hard to come by. I can only get it on Amazon. It can be kind of pricey for a BB cream because I have to have 2 shades to mix together to make my perfect like match. And then it's not cruelty free, so you know, there's just like a lot of reasons to not go back to that holy grail and, you know, try to find something to replace that. So if you have any like recommendations on your favorite BB creams, please let me know. Okay, so this is not all of my powders, but they won't all fit like in the screen at one time. So these 3 are loose powders, and these are my 2 like pressed powders. So I'm gonna scoot those back there for right now. So my 3 loose powders, I have the Milani one in the shade 01 Translucent. I absolutely hate it when brands call it translucent. This is not translucent at all. This definitely gives you like a little bit of, I don't know if coverage is the right word, but it definitely gives you a little bit of color, but it's not like that bad. It's just I was expecting like a translucent one. So I use my loose powders to set underneath my eyes and like around my nose and all my smile lines. And as you can see, like I'm almost done with this one. This is like the one I'm trying to like desperately get out of my collection. I believe, if I remember correctly, my goal is to only have 1 loose powder just because I use so little of it. I don't use a loose powder to set all over my face, so I don't see the point in having like multiples of this. So I've tried this one. This one is unopened by CYO, so I can't really speak on it as far as, you know, if I like it or not, but that will be once the Milani one is gone. This one I will crack into. So what I was gonna say was, I don't know about this one, so I can't like obviously speak on it, but as it stands right now, my favorite loose powder that I had was the Too Faced Born This Way translucent loose setting powder. And unless this one is amazing and, you know, just blows that one out of the water, I will be repurchasing that Too Faced one. And since I used so little of it, that one container lasted me for like over a year. And then this little guy hanging out here is the Laura Mercier. It's just like a little deluxe size of the translucent setting powder by the brand. It only has like a gram of product in here, so I don't foresee this sticking around for too long. I have finally opened this and started using it. It just got rolled into my Project 50 pan thing. I used this morning, or was it yesterday? I think it was this morning. This, again, it's called translucent, as you can see there on the nice label, and it's not. This is way dark. It like leaves a definite like shade difference when I use this underneath my eyes and around my nose. So I am not quite sure what I am going to do with this to finish it off. It's not bad. It doesn't like make my under eyes look crepey or like cakey or anything, but I don't see the hype of this powder. And granted, yes, I've only used it one time, but I'm not impressed. Would not repurchase like a full size of that. Then I have two pressed powders from Essence. So this is the All About That Matte powder. I use this in the summertime to set down like my T-zone because that's where I get the most oily. And then the Brighten Up Banana powder, I will use this sometimes underneath my eyes to brighten them up. However, if I go too ham with this powder, it does make my under eyes look very dry and very powdery. So what I think I'm gonna do, oops, knocked the camera. What I think I'm going to do with these two is once I finish all of the loose setting powders that I have, I think I'm going to crush these two up together and finish them both off as a loose setting powder, and then just not, I don't think I would repurchase either of these. Maybe I'll see how I feel in the summer if I'm actually missing this. I don't think it's like a necessity in my makeup routine, so if I can eliminate like a category or a product, then that's just all the more better as far as like having that more curated collection goes. Hopefully that made sense. Okay, last thing to show you in this video is my pressed, I call this like my pressed setting powders and pressed powder foundations because I use those interchangeably. Like sometimes I will just throw on some concealer and then go in with a like powder foundation, but then if I'm wearing like an actual foundation, I will use these just to set like my cheek area so that I can blend bronzer, blush, and highlighter like more efficiently. And then sometimes in the summertime, I'll go in a little bit heavier on my T-zone to just help keep like the oils at bay. So I have 6. I think when I did my makeup inventory in January, I had 7 if I'm not mistaken, and I have actually finished one off. It was the Physicians Formula Healthy Powder, and it wasn't like a favorite. Like it's not one that I would consider like repurchasing. Let me pull up though right quick. I don't remember how many. Okay, I said my goal number for this, the pressed setting powder / powder foundation category, was 3. And yes, I had 7 at the time of doing my like numbers inventory, and now I have 6. So we are one closer to our goal. But this Laura Geller one is in my 21 by 2021 project pan, and this is what it's looking like. This, I really love to wear this as not so much as like a setting powder like I talked about, but as an actual powder foundation. Just throw on some concealer and this, and it's great. It doesn't accentuate like pores and texture, and I'm really falling in love with this. And I'm kind of sad because this is in the shade Fair, as you guys can see, but it is like extremely dark. I think in the summertime it will look better, but the Fair shade is just way dark and way yellow for right now, which is really sad and frustrating because it's fair. It should be fair, and it's not. It's more of like a light shade. Then I have this Pixie. It's their translucent, sorry I keep hitting the camera. It's the translucent finishing powder. I don't mind this. I've used it a handful of times. It looks very white on camera. It has a little bit of like a golden tone to it, like in real life. And so I will use this just in the same way, you know, just to kind of help blend products out on top of my foundation, and it's not bad. I don't mind it. It's the lightest powder that I have, like in the sense of like this offers no like extra coverage or anything like that, which makes sense. It's a finishing powder. So, but yeah, I also just I have a hard time getting behind the brand Pixi just because I feel like their products are overpriced for being at the drugstore. I feel like there's cheaper stuff out there that works just as well as their stuff. So I've tried quite a bit of like their skincare stuff and I had the same opinion. So I just don't think Pixi is a brand that I would continue to purchase from. So once that's gone, I'll be happy. This is the Kat Von D Locket Powder in the shade Light 48. Is that what that says? Light 48? Yeah. Light 48. Okay. My mom found this at TJ Maxx, I'm pretty sure. And so she picked it up because she knows I love powders like this. I have used this a handful of times and I do really like this. The shade is not too dark. It's great. It adds just the right amount of coverage. And again, doesn't make me look cakey or anything like that. So yeah, I do actually like it. And now that Kat Von D has stepped away from her brand, I guess the controversy surrounding the brand is gone, right? I don't know. Then I have the Ulta Beauty Finishing Powder. This is in Fair Light. Yeah, Fair to Light. Again, I mean, this is the thing with powders. I probably honestly only need one that's like more of a true powder foundation that I could wear with just concealers, and then one that's like of a thinner formula that works as a setting powder. Probably just one of each, and two would be great because I don't really have much different things to say about any of them. They all offer coverage. They're not cakey, blah, blah, blah. But I just, I need to, I guess, really buckle down and figure out which ones I want to actually keep and love and own in my collection. But here's the Ulta Beauty one. Oh, in the camera, when I hold it like this, you can see the rings, can't you? I guess we're about to hit pan on that. That's kind of sad because I haven't used this very much. I don't feel like I haven't used this enough to think that I would be close to hitting pan yet. So maybe that'll be a deciding factor. I've had some Ulta Beauty full coverage concealers in my collection, and I like that product as well. It's like $9 a pop, but I know that I blow through those concealers so quickly, so it wouldn't be surprising if I blow through the powder so quickly. Like maybe that's just something like with their formula or the size or I don't even know, but if I blow through this pretty quickly, then it's kind of like maybe I'll stay away from Ulta brand beauty products because I can just plow through them too quickly. Can't justify like a cost of that. I have the CYO pressed powder in the shade Fair. Sorry, I keep knocking the camera. I was gonna say it looks very white on camera. It's the little spongy thing that comes with it. This one is brand new. It still has the plastic seal on it. Yeah, you can tell. I have used up 2 of these in my lifetime, so I already know that I really like this one. It's a great price point. Like CYO just as a whole, if you can find them, just a great price point. I have tried various products from them and I've never been like disappointed in anything that I've tried from them except for their setting spray. Don't get their setting spray because either the first or second ingredient in it is alcohol and you can smell it and it actually burns your skin, so don't get that. But yeah, since this one is new and not been opened, I am waiting till I finish off some of these other ones before I crack into this one, just because that makes sense to me. Like I want to make sure I'm getting like the older products out of my collection. So then this is the JCat Aquassurance Compact Foundation, and it is in the shade Ivory. You can see right there. And so yeah, have like the weirdest like half moon pan happening here. I don't know how that happens. And then I have not like repressed this, but I don't know if you can tell, there's like this wrinkle almost in the product. It's just kind of funny looking to me. I do like this one. Again, offers nice coverage, doesn't make me look cakey, blah blah blah. Like I don't know, I like it. It was I think this was like $14 at Ulta online, but I got it on sale for $7. And so keeping that in mind, I don't think I would pay $14 for this when I know this one is just as good, if that makes sense. So like this would be, like I would choose this over this just because of price point. So, but that is it. That is all of my foundation type products is what we'll say. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.